The economy of the country depends for its efficient functioning upon the system of taxation and the fiscal laws regulating taxation. It is axiomatic that the fiscal laws should be based on some intelligible principles and there should be some sort of stability of the tax laws over a period which will provide the guide for businessmen and entrepreneurs to plan ahead. A preview of the fiscal laws over the post-independence period reveals that the taxation system has grown in a haphazard manner and it has become quite complicated, so much so even the administrators of the laws, particularly income tax law, are not quite certain about the state of the law at a given moment. The taxpayer cannot say with certainty what the amount of tax he will be called upon to pay for a year. Assessment of income tax really involves the assessment of as many as 8 taxes, which is beyond the comprehension of the assessees. Added to the growing complexity of the taxation laws, new devices are sought to be incorporated into the taxation system which can hardly be called taxation measures. For instance, the system of annuity deposits incorporated into the income tax law is neither in the nature of a tax nor a system of borrowing. The annuity deposit scheme involving a system of keeping accounts with the government of India for an indefinite period is a much hated one and deserves to be discarded at the earliest opportunity. The taxpayer is confused and confounded by the growing complexity of tax laws. The first essential of a system of taxation in a progressive state is simplicity of taxation structure unsullied by any mysterious devices. It is claimed that the income tax law has been simplified and rationalized. This is a claim which cannot be sustained. The annual finance acts which incidentally amend the income tax law also add to the complexity of the law. An Indian writer who has made a special study of our taxation system has commented upon the absolute uncertainty of our direct tax policy and their complexity verging upon incomprehensibility and has stated in categorically terms that the country is the most highly taxed country in the world, notwithstanding the fact this country is one of the poorest in the world. The economy of the country cannot be stimulated by the present system of taxation but is being throttled. The richest nation, the USA, with the highest per capita income, is adopting measures calculated to bring down the level of taxation in order to boost the economy. This perspective of the USA government is it to be emulated and followed by our government. The evasion of tax in the country loudly talked of is directly due to the high rate of direct tax which gives direct incentives to the tax dodgers. The higher the rate, the greater the incentive for evasion. The vicious circle of higher and higher rate and larger evasion must be broken by a bold and imaginative stroke of policy fixing the highest rate at a rational level as recommended by Professor Kaldar. There is no escape from this salutary principle if larger revenues are to be accrued and evasion to be eliminated and purity of administration to be secured. A direct outcome of the complexity of the taxation law is the facility with which taxpayers can be harassed by the administrator and it acts as a premium on dishonesty and corrupt practices. A thorough overhaul of the taxation structure and the fiscal laws is called for both in the interest of the economy of the country and the purity of administration. Simplicity and clarity of the taxation structure should be the guiding principles. A committee of specialists composed of USA and British personnel must be appointed to study our system and overhaul it in the light of the experience gained in those countries. They may be expected to view the system from a proper angle. Experts drawn from this country are too firmly entrenched in the traditions of the country to be able to view the case in the correct perspective. Equally important is the employment situation. a matter of serious import bearing upon the employment situation in the country is posed by the gold control scheme. This scheme has impoverished the class of goldsmiths who are estimated to be about 6 lakhs in number. The whole lot has been thrown out of employment, with the result that the families of these artisans are penniless and are on the verge of destitution. While the government have in the forefront of their program the creation of employment opportunities, they have at one stroke destroyed employment opportunities for 6 lakhs of people. This act of government could be justified if they could offer alternative employments to this section. This obligation has not been discharged by them. The sympathies of the people are with this class in full measure. This fact was demonstrated in unmistakable terms by the manner in which the by-election to the Madras Assembly from Tiruvannamalai was affected. The simple device adopted by DMK party at the last moment of parading the poor half-starved goldsmiths along the streets did the trick and converted the sure defeat of the DMK candidate to certain victory. The lesson of the election should not be lost upon the government. The employment of 6 lakhs of people should be an overriding consideration against the adoption of the gold control scheme. Another matter which requires to be seriously considered is the tremendous amount of expenditure on unproductive items, particularly on buildings. Several departments of government seem to be weighing with one another in putting up colossal structures for housing their offices, which are absolutely disproportionate to their needs and requirements. It is farcical in the extreme when it is remembered that huge structures are being raised by the side of slums.